I'm gonna be as calm as composed as I can be. So let me start by saying... Oh, Pipichula! Tell me guys, just tell me, do you know that feeling? You've been wanting a certain game for years and one fateful day, it finally gets announced. That is such an unbelievable moment and you got all the right to be excited for it. But if you don't control that feeling, it's very possible to be blinded with it and set up some very high expectations. And that comes with a risk. The game can turn out to be good in its own right, but if it didn't reach your expectations, despite its quality, it can become a disappointment to you. This happened to me with Metal Gear Solid 5. Good game, but it baffles me because it could have been more. And I can't help but feel it was a disappointment to what many hoped it will be. But then what if the total opposite happens? You get overhyped and then the game delivers. But wait, it does more. That creates an unbelievable feeling of happiness, and by doing that, they end up becoming truly special games that will stick with you forever. Super Mario Odyssey did that for me, Pokemon Heart Gold and Soul Silver did that for me, and I can tell you, Devil May Cry 5 did that too. But how? What did Devil May Cry 5 do to become smoking, sexy, stylish? On the surface, the gameplay has come to be what you'll expect. An exhilarating, fast-paced hack-and-slash adventure that just brims with that DMC magic. It seems simple at first, but once you delve down into it, it explodes with so much depth, variety, creativity, and lots of style. The mechanics have been revamped, the movements are very fluid, and the characters have been expanded even more. Nero, holy, they worked a miracle on him. I already thought he was fun in his own right in DMC4, but here, they did him so much justice. He received a few new moves in his base abilities, so that's cool. His Exceed mechanic is way easier to get it right and is extremely satisfying to pull off. But he now got some brand new toys in the form of his Devil Breakers. These arms grant him a bunch of different abilities that suit so many playstyles. There's Gerbera to give him extra mobility in midair, Rawhide to give Nero more power to his Snatch ability and different attack options, Buster Arm to replicate his Devil Bringer's Buster from DMC4. You can use the Rocket Arm Punchline to ride it like a skateboard and damage enemies, and all of them pack their own surprises to boot. There's a lot to consider in how you want to take a mission because these arms are very easy to break if you're too reckless, and this roulette can be a little bit confusing to understand at first, but once you do, you'll be mesmerized at how much good all of this did to Nero. Dante. Well shit, I mean, there's no other way to describe it, it's goddamn Dante. If you thought that keeping track of 3 Devil Arms and 3 Firearms was too much in DMC4, now get ready to master over 4 weapons in each category along with his 4 different styles. It's insane how many options you got with him. There's a great mix of both new and old, but the best part is that the old ones get a brand new coat of paint to make it feel more unique. Take for instance Cerberus from Devil May Cry 3. It was a dandy and fun, nice base nunchaku, but how about we now make it a fire staff and also an electric chain? Do you like Lady's signature Kalina Ann? Great, because we are now giving you 2 of them at the same time. Dante has now become the embodiment of variety. He has so much depth because of his wide array of choices, styles, skills, attacks and weapons. This can work against him because for some players it will be very easy to find him loaded. This is more likely on the first playthrough because as soon as you start to get familiar with a weapon, you get slapped with 3 new ones on the next chapter. So what do you do if you're not a fan of a certain weapon? Thankfully there's a solution to that. Devil May Cry 5 was smart enough to give you a customization option. Not a big fan of Cavalier and Coyote A? Maybe you think Balrog's short range is not good against certain bosses. That's okay, you can completely remove them from your arsenal so that they don't get in your way, or just go to a mission with a single weapon. I did that on mission 11 and I got a cool trophy. And finally, there's a new guy joining the crew this time around, the Mysterious Bee. This Kylo Ren looking ass brings a whole new style never seen before in the series. Think of him as a puppeteer, because he has the ability to summon demons to do the fighting for him. His Bird Griffin covers the long range attacks, while his Panther Shadow can transform into a barrage of multiple blades and other effective weapons that can keep the enemies away from Bee, who on his behalf is very weak. But these 2 demons complement their master's abilities. Griffon also serves as a double jump and a glide, while Shadow lets Bee dodge better and run faster. They both have their own health bars, and if they go down in battle, you temporarily lose access to disadvantages until they come back. But there's also a 3rd demon who serves as Bee's Devil Trigger, the Colossal Nightmare, who is slow as hell, but its gargantuan strength very well makes up for it. Once summoned, it automatically attacks any nearby enemies. It's possible to gain control over it, but I found it more convenient to just let it do its own stuff. Because of all of this, Bee has a very unique and defining playstyle, unlike Dante's iconic B is very tricky to use and requires a more methodical approach. His demons cannot kill enemies, so it's up to him to get closer and land the final blow. But I really love this playstyle. There's something I find really satisfying about the final blow mechanic, because it requires you to be in the middle of the chaos to fight very efficiently, but I also really enjoy keeping track of your demons while keeping in mind their attack ranges and enemy positions, and also because you can do this. These three guys deliver on the gameplay department, which is fantastic, but one of the best benefits the game got was its structure. The missions are way more linear and the puzzle elements are almost non-existent, keeping the adventure at a very pleasing pace while still delivering tons of action. Something I highly appreciated because almost all the games in the series have that one tedious part where it tries to do something different, but almost nobody ever looks forward to. The underwater sections in 1, the entirety of 2, the Meaties Forest in 4, the streamlined nature of 5 makes things take less than needed while keeping an emphasis on the action. That is not to say the game is not willing to reward you for exploring or for experimenting with the environment. I particularly loved using Nightmare to break walls that were hiding blue orbs. And when the game decides to throw a different challenge at you, it's either the staple secret missions or some time battles where the worst thing that can happen is missing on those extra rewards you get at the end. The difficulty is honestly very forgiving, maybe easier than DMC4, but there's still a prevalent challenge that keeps you on your toes and a fantastic learning curve that adapts as the characters grow. The difficulty mode Son of Sparta struck all the right points for me, because from beginning to end, it was a test of skill of how much I learned from my first playthrough. This was made even more enjoyable by the great enemy design. There is so much variety in demons, but all of them have distinctive attack patterns and behaviors that let the player experiment new combos and techniques. There wasn't a single demon that made me want to rip my hair out of annoyance. Well, except these assholes. The same thing applied to the bosses. I cannot make them enough justice to how incredible they were in both visuals and gameplay. There is no doubt in my mind when I tell you that Cavalier Angel is one of the best boss fights in the entire series, and I'm so happy to say that they are barely reused. There's only one instance where you have to fight 3 bosses you encountered previously as Nero and Dante, but because you have to fight them as B, and because those fights were incredible already, I didn't mind. It was a quick boss rush that I really enjoyed. I've stated before that DMC4 had the best combat in the series, but it was the structure and enemy design that prevented it from being better than 3. DMC5 has nailed it on the most important aspects for a game. But what about the rest? If you're wondering about the story, well, I don't want to spoil anything big. I know that any fan of the series most likely already beat the game, but this was a story that I found so enjoyable, and I want any person who still hasn't played the game, or any new fan of the series to experience those moments for themselves. But still, I like to share a few comments. For one, I think the story is very competent, not the finest you'll ever see in all the video game industry, but definitely one of the best in the hack and slash genre, and something that without a doubt is memorable. A thought carried even further because, you guessed it, the characterization is simply mesmerizing. All the cutscenes in the game were worthy of attention because of the characters. I don't need to go again and again over how cool and stylish Dante and Nero are, but I want to give props to the newcomers B and Nico. I found B to be a fantastic addition. He felt refreshing for me because he was a very straightforward character with a very dry sense of humor. His existence shrouded the story with so much mystery, and that was a great drive to look forward to what he will do next. Also his griffin? He was really funny. I love this little chicken. And Nico? Damn! She didn't give me a good impression on the first trailer because she looks like a girl who will induce me to consume substances that are bad for my health. But holy, what a girl she is! One of the best supportive characters I've ever seen. When I saw this scene on the second trailer, I realized there was going to be something special about her. There were many instances where I didn't need her to help me, but I still called her only to see what shenanigans she will pull out. From her sassiness to her entertaining relationship with Nero, she was simply an amazing character. And I don't think I even need to point out how beautiful this game looks. Capcom was dead set on using their RE engine, the very same one used in Resident Evil 7 and 2 Remake. Something I wasn't very convinced at first, because I thought the more realistic approach would have deprived the game from the series' personality. But I'm glad that I was an idiot for thinking that. Because whenever it's on combat, cutscenes or atmosphere, this game looks amazing and it takes full advantage of the engine. There are almost no loading screens during the missions and the cutscenes are real time, so any customs you decide to use will reflect there. Also, I know this custom is based on El Dante, but I just can't unsee Spencer from iCarly. And if you're wondering about the music, it's great. How great? Devil May Cry levels of great. It's that great. Another thing I have to mention is the full-blown attention to detail, because outside of what the characters do or say during cutscenes, it's also their movements during gameplay what helps to define who they are, and any long-time fan of the series will notice tons of references to past entries and a plethora of neat details. Like how Nero's Mega Buster changes his movements to those of Mega Man, or in 3 playthroughs, I didn't notice that Dante's hair grows throughout the course of the game until I paid attention to him on the model viewer. Something quite insignificant in the bigger picture, but also something worthy of admiration. Also, if you get the special edition of the game, you get access to new weapons, announcer voices, and music from past Devil May Cry games. And I have to give it to Capcom. It's like they perfectly knew what were the best songs of each game. It was fantastic replaying the missions having iconic songs like Ultraviolet, Virgil 2, and Devil's Never Cry in the background. I only got the special edition because I like this cover more, but I still ended up taking advantage of those bonuses. But let me tell you, I expected nothing when I read that one of the bonuses you get is live action cutscenes. But god damn, it was a wild ride. Because some of them were like this. Honestly, paying the extra cash was totally worth it. So with all the positive things I've said about DMC5, only one question remains. Is there something negative about this game? Well, aside from this asshole, just a handful of them, nothing too big, and I got a few nitpicks I'd like to share. B. I love his character and I love his gameplay, but because of how different he is and due to his odd learning curve, he might not accommodate well for some players. Shadow's AI is not perfect, so it's not an oddity to come across instances where this cat is attacking something you didn't mean to target. Actually, let me just get that out of the way, because this is something that the 3 characters share. This target system can get annoying at times when there are too many enemies on screen, and when that happens, the camera switches focus on that demon you targeted. Even if it was a quick accident, the camera will still give it some focus for some small time, leaving you with little space to see the objective you are actually trying to fight. But back on topic. My personal nitpick involving B is different, and that is that I wanted more of him. I enjoyed this guy so much that I wanted more missions with him. There are a few times where you can take a mission with a character of your choice, but this was underutilized. In the entire game, this only happens twice, and I really wish they could have done more with it. And that's it really. Look, I played this game 3 times in a week, and those were the only negative aspects I could think of. Maybe someone was expecting me to complain about the microtransactions, but no, not really. If they had locked something of huge value, then yes, we have something to get angry about, but that's not the case here. There was not a single instance where I felt the need to get any of these orbs. The game is fair. If you're good, then you will be rewarded for it. It's amazing, you know? Devil May Cry 5 is a game I anticipated for years. When I held this game in my hands, it was magical. I just couldn't believe it was happening. My excitement set up a bar very high, but this game jumped over it and then did 3 backflips in the process. It was everything I hoped it would be, and then some. Capcom has my utmost respect for how they have recovered in recent years, and this game only helped to segment that even further. They showed so much love and care for it. Just think about it, when they revealed the first version of Dante's main theme, Subhuman, it was so fucking bad and almost nobody liked it that they instantly took it down and reworked it. I know there were other more delicate factors involved, but the point I'm trying to make is that they listen to fans. They care so much about this game. Their objective was to make Devil May Cry 5 the peak of action games, and I can safely tell you that they achieved that. My channel is still quite small, but if there's someone at Capcom out there who might end up watching this video, I just want you guys to know that I'll forever be thankful for what you did. It was a long road, but it was totally worth it. Hideaki Itsuno and his team have truly made a masterpiece. So thank you once again. And thank you all for joining in. As usual, I hope you had an enjoyable time. And remember to take care, because I'll be seeing you next time.